Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Welcome to a new episode. And today's episode, it's our top 5 Christmas movie list. And TJ's here with me. And TJ's got his Christmas Story t-shirt on. That's Ralphie, right?
Yep, Ralphie Parker.
And I've got my TMNT Ugly Christmas sweatshirt. And what are you drinking today, TJ?
I'm drinking the Redneck Margarita.
Redneck Margarita, and I'm going to crack open this Colorado Native Mountain Pass Pils because I figure it snows in the mountains. So that's pretty close to Christmas, wouldn't you say?
I would say so.
All right. Whoa, foamy! Okay, so I cleaned up my beer because it just kept spewing over like a volcano. Got it on the towel here. Let me move that out of the way. So, let me preface the entire episode off first by saying, if you watched the channel earlier this month, you saw that I did the rewind and rewatch episode on A Christmas Story. And was a little bit different of an episode because it kind of goes out of the realm of why I do those rewind and rewatch podcasts. But I had never seen A Christmas Story all the way through. So I wanted to give it a chance. So I'll put a link to that video at the end of this one if you either A, need to rewatch it, or B, you never watched it and you need to see it. I didn't want to get into a lot of details because I said in that video that you would have to wait for the Christmas list episode to see if it made it into my top 5 to find out how much I really, really liked it, or if I really didn't like it that much. But I gave you enough of a hint that I at least enjoyed it, that it was good, but that I prefer my Christmas movies with a little bit more edge. So before we start getting into our list, I will tell you that unfortunately it did not make my top 5. It didn't even make my top 10. I just didn't enjoy A Christmas Story that much. Now, will I maybe add it to, my watch list of movies this time of year every couple years maybe? I'll keep giving it a chance. It might move its way up. I don't know. I don't know what's on TJ's. But I can tell you that, unfortunately, A Christmas Story did not make my top 5. So, TJ, how's it going?
It's going great, Paul.
How are your holidays?
Oh, holidays are going good. Can't believe Christmas is almost here.
Yes. So, we're going to start, and TJ, you can go first. Start with what's your number 5?
My number 5 Christmas movie is Christmas with the Cranks.
Christmas with the Cranks? I don't think I've ever seen that. Tell us about it.
Mr. and Mrs. Crank, played by Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis, have both. They always throw the most spectacular Christmas parties. Then one year, Tim Allen, Mr. Crank, decides he doesn't want to throw the party. They decide to go to Hawaii for a cruise. Well, this doesn't sit well with all their neighbors, as they always throw the best Christmas parties. So the neighbors try to guilt them into not going on the cruise and try to throw the party instead. And in the end of the movie, the neighbors all end up pitching in and giving them a hand when they really need it.
Okay. So when did that movie come out?
The movie came out in 2004.
2004, and with Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yep.
Gotcha. All right. Well, now for some of mine, I'm going to throw in directors because some of them have ties between one another. So I'm just throwing that out there right now. I want to throw in the directors. And I also thought that for some Christmas movies, for me, music is also important. So I'm going to also let you know what I think about the music. So my number 5 movie, Christmas movie of all time, is 1988's Scrooged, starring Bill Murray. Did you ever see Scrooged?
Yes, I have, Paul.
All right. And Scrooged was directed by Richard Donner, or as his friends call him, Dick. And it's a take on A Christmas Carol, and Bill Murray's character, he kind of rifles on Dickens. He's like this arrogant, thoughtless TV executive. who's planning a live stage production of A Christmas Carol to air on TV. And that movie was kind of ahead of its time for back then, in '88. You think about it, the movie centers around airing a live production of a musical, and that's been like a recent thing lately on television, the holidays, or maybe even during the summer. That I don't know what they've done. They've done Peter Pan. I think they might have done A Christmas Carol, but anyway, so that's like a thing now. Anyway, so Bill Murray's character winds up living out this crazy variation of A Christmas Carol in a very dark and twisted and like sadistic take with some amusing results too as well. The film also stars Karen Allen and John Forsythe and Bobcat Goldthwait and Carol Kane and Robert Mitchum. And I think overall it's like I said, it's a dark movie. It's twisted, but it's funny. It's very well played out. If you want like almost like a satirical, twisted take on a Christmas Carol, you got to watch Scrooged. And the music in that movie is pretty good too. It's done by the great Danny Elfman. So you can't go wrong with a Danny Elfman soundtrack. So that's my number 5 is Scrooged. TJ, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Christmas Vacation, starring Chevy Chase as Clark Griswold and Beverly D'Angelo as Ellen Griswold. This time, instead of going somewhere, the family decides to stay at home and invite all the relatives over. And of course, the normal chaos endures once all the relatives get there, and especially at the start of the movie where they're going to pick out their big Christmas tree. Mm-hmm. Which, of course, Clark forgets the one most important thing in cutting down a Christmas tree, which would be the saw.
Right.
And from there, it just kind of goes on with them bringing the family over for Christmas, and he decides to put lights up on the house, decorates the whole house instead of just doing around the gutters like normal people. But the movie was done very well. He had the family was done very good. Yeah, it was a very good movie, very funny. So if you like good comedies, I would highly recommend National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
All right, I would too. On that note, number 4, my number 4 is Bad Santa from 2003, directed by Terry Zwigoff. Stars Billy Bob Thornton. He plays a thieving, low-life, piece of shit department store Santa Claus who injects some nasty deviancy into the Christmas season. And it's a downright disturbing black comedy. TJ, are you a fan of a wooden pickle?
No.
Oh, you should be. Thurman Merman definitely is a fan of a wooden pickle. It also stars Tony Cox, Lauren Graham, Bernie Mac, and I might have said this. This might have been when we were doing television quizzes, and you quizzed me all the way back on Three's Company. Remember the Three's Company MacGyver episode? I said it back then, like John Ritter, one of my favorite actors. It starred John Ritter, and this was his very last on-screen role. He actually died a couple months before Bad Santa came out. Rest in peace, John Ritter. Anyway, and the music, not worth mentioning. It doesn't really matter for Bad Santa, but if you want something even darker and twisted and R-rated than Scrooged, and that's why it actually comes in at number 4 over Scrooged, because it's more geared towards adults. Bad Santa is definitely the way to go, and it's my only R-rated film on my list, by the way. So it might be the only R-rated. No, Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Die Hard's a Christmas movie. That's actually in my. I'll tell you right now, that's between 6 and 10 for me. Die Hard. So that's technically, if it was a top 10 list, Die Hard would be in there. I have 2 R-rated Christmas movies in my 10. But anyway, TJ, what is your number 3?
Number 3, The Santa Claus, starring Tim Allen.
That was close for me. The Santa Claus is actually my 6th.
Your 6th?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. So it almost cracked it, but it didn't. So go ahead.
Well, Tim Allen stars as a divorced father who is getting his son for Christmas. Christmas Eve, his son ends up waking up, hearing something on the roof. Tim Allen gets up to go check it out. He goes outside, sees a person on the roof, and scares him, and Santa Claus falls off the roof and abruptly dies, which pretty much makes Tim Allen the new Santa Claus. So it pretty much shows him the very first night having to go around in this sleigh to all the houses delivering toys. Then after that, he ends up going to the North Pole, where he finds out he has about a year to get into character and become the brand new Santa Claus.
Holy shit! Oh my God, TJ! Look who just showed up on the shelf.
Oh my gosh!
Why don't you bring him on down here? Watch his little hat. Oh, it's our little elf on the shelf. Actually, if you watch the videos, he's usually always up there. But I was just like staring at TJ, and he's just like watching me with this eye, like this glare, like, you son of a bitch. Put me on fucking TV, you son of a bitch. Or he's more like, put me on TV, you son of a bitch. And then he's like sitting here, like covering his crotch, like, or maybe he's like, oh, TJ! Ah! Ah! All right, knock it off, elf on the shelf.
Naughty elf.
He's not. Oh! Oh! Sorry, go ahead, TJ. So Tim Allen becomes Santa Claus. Right? I think that's where we left off.
Yup. Yeah. Yeah, so Tim Allen pretty much became Santa Claus.
All right, and he pretty much doesn't doesn't want to really be Santa Claus. Like, that's the whole point of the film, right? Like he battles with the fact that he's Santa Claus.
Yep, he doesn't want to believe that he's going to become Santa Claus, and then eventually he ends up accepting the fact that he will be Santa Claus, and pretty much he ends up getting the job.
Right. All right, yeah, Santa Claus is a very good... Of the Santa Claus trilogy, of course, I think the first one's the best one.
I would have to say I like them all. I like the first one the best, although I believe that was Martin Short in the third one as Jack Frost. He did a very nice job.
Martin Short is fantastic, period. I don't think if Martin Short was in the third one, I probably wouldn't care much about it. I really don't even remember the second one that well. I do remember the third one because I like it better than the second one, but I still don't like it as good as the first one. But anyway, we could do like a whole synopsis on the Santa Claus trilogy maybe next year. All right, so anyway, my number 3 is on the completely different opposite end of the spectrum from Bad Santa. We're going from R-rated territory to PG territory, and that is Elf.
Good ball.
Thank you. 2003's Elf, directed by Jon Favreau, starring Will Ferrell as a clownish orphan raised by Santa Claus and his elves in the North Pole, who journeys to New York City to find his biological father, played by James Caan, and that his father is like a cynical book publisher who only he's pretty much selfish, only thinks about himself, doesn't give a shit about anybody, kind of like an Ebenezer Scrooge type character.
Yep.
And it's the movie is absurd. I mean, it really is. Like, he eats like all this like random ass fucking mashed up food, which maybe that we should try that like as a challenge. Like, do all the food that he eats in the movie. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe we should try that like in real life, like the spaghetti with the M&Ms and the syrup and whatever. I don't remember all the fucking shit that he ate. Reaching for the Pepto-Bismol just talking about it. But when the whole movie's all said and done, you gotta raise the spirit of Christmas, and in doing that, it kind of brings James Caan's character back around, and the film ends up being kind of like a wholesome film, kind of like a fish out of water fantasy. The whole thing is, it's really a brilliant film from start to finish. It also stars Zooey Deschanel, Mary Steenburgen, Ed Asner, and the ever popular Bob Newhart. I mean, you can't go wrong with Bob Newhart. And the music is by multi-genre and median talent John Debney. He does music for all kinds of things. I mean, he is like a musical genius that people don't even like know by name, but he has done music for, if it can like have music on it or with it, or it's something that can play music, like this guy does it. So, and the music in Elf, it doesn't, I wouldn't say it really stands out like in some other movies that are more classic films, but I think overall the music is pretty good. It's pretty good, and it was good enough for me to mention it. So, all right, TJ, what's your number 2?
Home Alone.
Wow, TJ, guess what?
What?
My number 2 is Home Alone.
Wow, Paul.
So let's work on this one together.
All right.
We agreed. Wow, we finally have a movie on our lists that we match in a spot here. Okay, so talk a little bit about Home Alone.
All
1990, right?
Yep, 1990. Macaulay Culkin plays Kevin McAllister, where he ends up, his whole family is leaving for Paris on Christmas Day. So Christmas Eve, you know, his brother's family, his dad's brother, his family comes over to spend the night and get ready for the trip to Paris. Along with the brother's family, a police officer named Harry, who is a thief pretty much staking out the home, and just going around asking to make sure they have all the proper precautions for when they leave. The next one, Kevin ends up getting into a little bit of trouble, played by Macaulay Culkin. He gets sent upstairs by his mom to the attic. The next morning, they end up, there was a bad storm during the night, it knocked out the power, and the next morning they wake up discovering that the vans to the airport are already at the house, and they have overslept due to the power being out. So they're all rushing around trying to get to the vans, and they've completely figured about Kevin, who is still upstairs in the attic. So first of all, Kevin's thinking he made his family disappear because of a wish he had made the previous night. He decides he's going to have a blast enjoying the time, his family being away, just doing whatever he wants. And then he discovers that a pair of burglars by Marvin Harry, Joe Pesci plays Harry, and Daniel Stern plays Marv, decide to break into his house to rob him.
The Wet Bandits.
The Wet Bandits, that's correct. Yep. So what he decides to do is, with everybody being gone, he decides to booby-trap the house to stop the thieves.
Yeah.
And it gets very hilarious from there.
Yeah. And it really makes you question how much pain and suffering the human body could take in reality, because I think, obviously, and I think there might have been videos or maybe even a Mythbusters on the movie. If all the shit that Marv and Harry went through, if that could really be endured by a human, and could they actually still like just get up and survive those kind of attacks? No, they can't. They would be maimed and disabled and all kinds of things. Maybe even in some cases they could die. That shit just can't happen. It's almost like watching a real life Roadrunner and Coyote or Tom and Jerry or something like that, you know, like that kind of like cartoon shit. But yeah, so the movie was also directed by Chris Columbus, and it was produced and written by John Hughes, the great John Hughes. And I don't know if you said it or not, but the McAllister's parents, or I should say the mom and dad, were played by the late John Hurd and Catherine O'Hara. And the music by one of the greatest film composers of all time, John Williams. So, yeah, Home Alone. Both made our number 2 spot. Yep. All right.
That was great.
Well, I'm going to get right into my number 1. Only because my number 1 already appeared on his list as his number 4. My number 1 is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. That is my Number one favorite Christmas movie of all time. Now, let me just say something. Home Alone, I must have saw that in the theater like 5 times when it came out. So, as far as Christmas movies go, that's like the most I've seen. I don't think I've ever seen any other Christmas movie more than once in a movie theater. Home Alone, yeah, I saw it like 5 times in the movie theater. But Christmas Vacation, I mean, it came out only a year prior, but I've watched it so many more times. I don't even watch it sometimes at Christmas. I'll watch it in the middle of the year. I love Christmas Vacation, and you guys should know that already. And rarely, and when we're talking about a film series here, National Lampoon's Vacation, this was the 3rd. And it's kind of rare that a film series 3rd installment is been the equal of its 2 predecessors. I mean, it's as good, if not better. I mean, really, you think about it. Like the first Vacation movie was more domestic, going to Wally World, and then the second one was international. They did different stops, right?
Yep.
And now the third one, it's back home. They don't really go anywhere per se, but it takes place during your Christmas vacation, you know? And so they all just take a different variation of the word vacation. And I think it does the Christmas Vacation very well. I'm not going to get too much in, you already talked a little bit about it, but I'll just run by some things. I wanted to say that, well, you said Beverly D'Angelo played Ellen. Of course, we all know Chevy Chase played Clark.
Yep.
Audrey was played by Juliette Lewis, and Johnny Galecki played Rusty. And as we all know, the children in all the films keep changing. It also stars Diane Ladd, Doris Roberts, Randy Quaid, Nicholas Guest, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. And that's the thing, the Next Door Neighbors played by Nicholas Guest and Julia Louis-Dreyfus are freaking hysterical. Like, they aren't even, like, funny. It's just, it's funny because they're sad, they're pathetic, and they're always pissed. You know? And that's what makes them funny without even, like, trying to be funny. And, of course, Brian Doyle Murray as Chevy Chase's boss. And the music, get this. So the music, which it's got decent music. It's of my top 5. Home Alone's got the best music, in my opinion. Home Alone does have the best music. Christmas Vacation's music is good. Angelo Badalamenti. He did the music for Christmas Vacation, and strangely enough, he actually does music for David Lynch's films. So he's more probably, there's probably people that didn't know that Badalamenti did music for Christmas Vacation, but David Lynch fans will know that name, knowing David Lynch movies. They're gonna know that name, and they're gonna be like, some people may be like, holy shit, he did the music for Christmas Vacation. Yeah, he did the music for Christmas Vacation. So I just wanted to share that little tidbit. Well,
one more thing on Christmas Vacation. Do you happen to remember the number of twinkle lights Clark put on the house?
Absolutely not.
Oh, they do mention it in the film. It's 25,000.
25,000 even?
Yep, 25,000 twinkle lights.
Well, you know, you're like your mind's like a steel trap when it comes to useless movie stuff, useless movie trivia, and lines and stuff. In fact, why don't you give us a line from Christmas Vacation? Anyone you want.
Anyone I want? Okay.
One of Clark going off. Yeah, why don't you do one of those?
Where do you think you're going? Nobody's leaving. Nobody's walking on those fun old-fashioned family Christmas. No, we're all in this together. This is a full-blown 4-alarm holiday emergency here. We're going to press on, and we're going to have the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby tap dance to Danny fucking Kaye. And when Santa Claus squeezes his fat white ass down that chimney tonight, he's going to find a jolly bunch of assholes this side of the nut house.
Good job, TJ. Alright, so yes, Christmas Vacation is my number 1. What is your number 1 movie, TJ?
My number 1 movie of all time is The Christmas Story, 1983.
Yes.
is when it came out.
Yeah. So, you can tell us a little bit about A Christmas Story. Anybody that's watched this channel has already heard me talk about A Christmas Story on the past episode. Like I said at the top of the episode. I mean, look. It's not a bad movie. Obviously, you liked it a lot to make it your number one. It's just for me, it's too safe. It's way too family friendly for me, I guess. And I don't really buy into that much. I liked the look of the film, the aesthetic. I liked the fact that, like, because when I was growing up, and I would see bits and pieces of it, I thought the movie was older than it was, because it takes place in the 40s. So I thought it took place at least in the 50s or something. Like, I thought it was literally filmed in the 50s. Like, what did I know? I was a kid, I was, like 8 years old or something maybe when I first started watching it, or bits and pieces of it. But I just couldn't stick with it back then. And I tried, like, even a couple years ago, I tried watching it from the beginning, and I just could not. Anytime I flip through nowadays and it's on, like, I'll never start watching it from the middle because before I saw it, I should say, before I watched it for the first time this month,
Okay.
let me just say, I never stopped to watch it, because what was the point if I never watched the whole thing to begin with?
Right.
To start watching it in the middle of the movie or whatever. I think like TBS or something runs it for like 24 hours.
Yep, on Christmas Day.
Yeah. So, like, there's been plenty of times where I've had plenty of chances to watch it with commercials, I guess, maybe, right? But I just, I couldn't. Will I turn it on during Christmas Day now that I've seen it? Probably not. I'm sorry. But anyway, you can now go on about why Christmas Story is your number one.
Yeah. Well, A Christmas Story is, as I said, it's about this little this boy named Ralphie, who all he wants for Christmas is an official Red Ryder BB gun, which he tries to, throughout the movie, he tries to drop hints to his mom and dad about what exactly he wants. His mother is dead set against it. She said, the classic line, "You'll shoot your eye out," comes up quite a few times. He tries writing a theme as an assignment for class he has about what he wants for Christmas.
It's almost like you wrote my episode when I talked about this. we were like describing it the exact same way, but keep going.
Yeah, well, the same thing. His mother had gotten to his teacher and put, "You'll shoot your eye out," pretty much saying he's not going to be in the BB gun.
Yeah.
So then, so the movie ends up going about Ralphie with a couple of his friends. They have run-ins with a couple of the school bullies. His brother has a big snowmobile suit on for back in the early 30s and 40s. So when he got knocked down, he couldn't get back up. Yeah. So the movie itself is very good. Yeah, and in the end, Ralphie. If you didn't see this movie, I don't want to give it away, but it's a very good movie. Do you want a Red Ryder BB gun for Christmas, Elf?
I want something else made of wood.
So yes, if you do happen to get a chance, go check out the Christmas Story, 1983.
Maybe a wooden pickle. I want a wooden pickle. All right, so we're on down the list. My number 5 was Scrooged. Number 4, Bad Santa. Number 3, Elf. Number 2, Home Alone. And number 1, Christmas Vacation. Run down yours, TJ.
Number 5, Christmas with the Cranks. Number 4, Christmas Vacation. Number 3, The Santa Claus. Number 2, Home Alone. And number 1, The Christmas Story.
All right, now let me ask you something, TJ. Now that we've finished that, I have a question to ask you.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the film Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
Yes, I am.
Are you familiar with the film Dutch?
Yes.
All right, so let's take those two films, for example.
Okay.
Those two films are technically Thanksgiving films because the holiday that each film centers around is getting home for Thanksgiving. However, because people cluster the holidays together, starting with Thanksgiving and ending with Christmas, therefore they're kind of like in the same ball, if you will. Would you still only consider films like those Thanksgiving films? Or would you go ahead and lump them into the Christmas category in that really we're talking about holiday films, and so any holiday film can be something like Home Alone or Dutch? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I could categorize those as more like holiday films.
Okay.
Because those are, yeah. Because like you said, Dutch, like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is more to Thanksgiving. Then you start getting into like the Christmas Story and those. I would have to say those are like that one is more like, well, those are holiday films for me.
Okay. So if we're calling them holiday films, basically, if you can categorize something like that as a holiday film, Dutch, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, all the way through A Christmas Story and Christmas Vacation, Home Alone, it's clustered as a holiday. They can be kind of clustered together. So if you're talking about holiday films, you can talk about either a Thanksgiving or a Christmas.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Because I really tried my best to just stick with the literal Christmas. If we would have said holiday, I can guarantee you my top 5 list would have changed by 1. Because Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a film that I watch every time. Well, not every time. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a film that I watch once a year around this time as well. I already watched it a month ago. Okay.
Okay.
Like closer to Thanksgiving. I watch it closer to Thanksgiving, but I'll watch it in December sometimes as well. Because I kind of it's like that time of season, right? And I kind of feel that it falls in that time. And so does Dutch. And if you haven't seen Dutch with Ed O'Neill, it's a very underrated John Hughes movie. It's a John Hughes movie that not a lot of people gave a chance. Ed O'Neill is fantastic in that movie. Okay, I think that he should have gotten more leading film roles after that movie. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, of course, is a classic. Steve Martin, John Candy. Yep. It goes down in history. That's another John Hughes movie, by the way, and one of his greats. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles probably would have bumped Scrooged to 6 because if we're talking about holiday films, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles would have been number 5 for me. I'm just throwing it out there that if we were doing a holiday list, then that would have been there. And Dutch is definitely in my top 10. So I just wanted to kind of get a clarification from you where you felt that those films should be. If they should be just Thanksgiving and kind of not clustered in with Christmas as an overall holiday film, or if you would cluster everything together as holiday, and you said you would. So, okay, I wanted to talk it out. I wanted to talk it out. Okay, well, that's going to do it for today. I hope everybody gets what they asked for from Santa, and that you didn't cry sitting on his lap, or he didn't give you the big fat boot going down the slide, him and his scary ass elves. Anyway, by the way, Zooey Deschanel in Elf makes a fantastic elf. Let me just throw that out there. Yes, and boy, she's got some pipes. I'm singing. She's got some. She can sing. That's what I mean by pipes. All right. Anyway, that's gonna do it for today. Hope everybody enjoys their holidays and stays safe out there and doesn't, cluster fuck around with, 80 family members under one roof this year. Unfortunately, kind of sucks, but keep it on the DL if you do. Don't go telling anybody you're having big old Christmas parties and shit.
Yeah, but it's Christmas. Let loose and have some fun.
Yeah, regardless. So that's gonna do it. If you like the video, click the like button, subscribe if you haven't yet, and let us know down below what your favorite Christmas movie is. Happy holidays, everybody. Ho, 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 and all that shit. We'll see you guys next time.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
Oh.